are dealing with so much survivor guilt and so much stuff. But after that event, that was the thing that really had me thinking, like, well, what if we had been there, right? Like, we're saying if women had been there, then women would have just been killed, instead of, well, maybe if the women had been there, somebody would have seen something.
Yeah, said something, yeah.
Said something. And to be quite frank, that's also why they took me so seriously that day, was because we all knew how bad it could get on something that seemed totally routine.
What were your thoughts on, like, you know, how we left Afghanistan? I know, 'cause a lot of people that, like, man, like, I personally waste 2 years in Afghanistan. The country personally wasted 20 years and trillions of dollars just to hand it back over to them, and then we withdrew. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get out of my pajamas for 2 weeks when Kabul and Kandahar fell. You know, So first of all, you know, David Petraeus in 2010 was like, this is a counterinsurgency. And basically nobody has ever won a counterinsurgency. So why didn't we start pulling out then, right? That was one of my big issues, especially after I lost a bunch of friends. You know, and I think the other thing was that, like, geez, the 10 dudes that we lost on that day, like, we all knew they died for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we all knew it was a ridiculous mission that never should have happened. But at least their families got to feel like their kids died for something. And all of that was, like, ripped away. But by far the thing I feel the worst about is how we just completely screwed our allies.
Yeah, like, I know, I had several friends in Afghanistan. I know, like, I don't know, but I'm confident they're fucking dead. They act instantly, you know, like, several people, good people in the Afghan army, I know they're dead.
I mean, a huge part of what I was there for was to interface with women and children. And we also had women translators with us. And exactly like you say, it's like, I think about all their faces.
I mean, we basically said, fuck all the Afghan women, really, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
At the same time, I'm proud of Biden for saying that's it.
Yeah.
Out,
yeah, it's been a long time ago.
More than time.
And I think, like, everyone who served in Afghanistan, like, you know, deep down, that's how it's gonna end, right? Everyone knew we would pull out, they're gonna fall. Like, I mean, you knew, right? There's no way they can sustain this as soon as we're gone. Like, this isn't happen, right? You know, the government was so corrupt. You know, like, what's the president? He left, right, with all his money. You know, like,
that was I think that's the other part of it, was like, I was a true believer in the army, and I think bought a whole bunch of lies, kind of, that we were sold. You know, and because of 9/11, I think we felt so justified about Afghanistan and the way we didn't go to Iraq.
Yeah.
And then looking back now, it's like, oh no, we were sold a bill of goods.
Yeah.
You know, like, this was always about profit and the people at the top.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is, yeah.
You know, like, real people whose lives were ended for that.
I don't know. So how has your background, like, growing up in a cult, all that stuff, what you went through, how has that impacted how you raise your daughter?
Well, our number one parenting rule is never say, because I told you so. We have to give reasons, which, I mean, it really makes you see how much of parenting is your wins, right? And that's the other thing. You know, I say that the hardest thing for my husband and I is that my daughter doesn't have a good little soldier mode to click into, because we did not teach her that. You know, and she will logic back at me just hard, or like the way she'll call her dad out on mansplaining. It's so great. And that's in no way the kind of relationship I ever had. I've come up with this term called first generation parents that I think applies to a lot of people, but it's just being very clear that you have no models to emulate. You know, I remember one time being so upset at myself almost for having a child, because I was like, there isn't a mother in my family in generations, right? Like, what was I thinking? But I also really think that parenting a child after trauma can be really healing, because I get to be the mom for that I didn't get. And I also get to almost like reparent myself, if that makes sense. So there was like one time when she was about 3, and she was a gymnastics thing, and they're all supposed to be putting their hands on each other and like walking in a little line, their hands on their shoulders. My kid, as they pass the sponge pit, just decides to throw herself in. And when I tell you, my heart stopped. I was on my feet so fast. Like, it was the time that I was triggered. And of course, the teacher just came back. She was like, okay, friends, that's not what we're doing now. And I literally had talked myself down to be like, she's not going to be beat. She's not going to be in trouble. She's not going to get in trouble when she gets home. She's safe. This was a version of like, I would not have been safe in my childhood if I had done that. And so you get the opportunity to be the person that you needed for the next generation. And that'd be pretty healing too.
So in your book, you kind of talk about some of the bad stuff you went through, right? So do you ever have like flashbacks of that stuff? And if you do have flashbacks, how do you deal with it?
Yes. And I will tell anyone, if you were going to write a book, your flashbacks are going to get worse, right? Because most of us have come up with ways to tamp down the flashbacks or the worst things. It's so weird to explain. It's like I didn't even think of my childhood as traumatic until I went back to Afghanistan the first time, and all of a sudden, like, everything was being triggered again. So yes, I still got triggered. However, I have spent so long deconstructing and healing that in some ways it's like you still get triggered, but it's more like you're kind of, that's somebody else. And that has been what has been the most amazing to me about putting a book out, was that, like, Uncultured is pretty much a memoir about just being completely alone, right? Like, alone in a cult, alone as a 6-year-old in a basement with a pedophile, alone on top of a tower in Afghanistan thinking about jumping off. And I don't know if you ever reach the point of healing where you stop having the triggers, but now when I have the triggers, I don't feel alone.
Okay.
I feel like 50,000 people have walked through this story with me. And I even know their names because I've, signed books to them. And so that's been one of really healing things. Not to mention just finding out how common it is to go from high control or traumatic childhood into military and like that kind of journey. I found so many other people.
We had lunch today. You talking about your entrepreneurial ecosystem. Can you explain how you build out your entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Yeah. So first of all, I think, I always call it like, okay, this is another in my empire, like every new product or every new thing that I turn about monetizing. So I am a, content creator. I full-time make all of my money making content and selling books. And so one of the things that I have been doing, to me, is really ecosystems. Like, I'm with this next book I'm publishing as an indie book, I'm building out my own process so that I can find other people like me who have a story and pull them into my ecosystem and be like, here's a publisher, here's an editor, you need a co-writer, here's one of those. I am the sales channel, because that's been the other thing that I found. It's like, well, I'm really good at some books, and once they've read my book, they want other books like that. So I've started to pull other people's books into my ecosystem to also sell my channels. My third step, which I'm not yet at, is going to be investing in creating other people's books. And then I just have this whole part of the ecosystem that is also handcrafted products or art or like all of the different things that I've done along my journey that I'm able to turn around and monetize. And because, I always say, because nobody knows where my power comes from, they can't cancel it. Because it's like, I'm launching this next book and it's doing pretty well so far, The Culting of America, but even if it totally flopped, I make enough money just selling Uncultured and doing content on the internet that my business is going to be fine,
So how do you decide like when to like start making a product and when do you stop? When you just thought, okay, I've had this product for a certain amount of months, it's not doing anything to me, like take it down?
I haven't had to do that yet. I've made one investment into bulk book purchase I've not been able to sell the way I thought. So I've had one kind of flop, but I'm still, that wasn't, I just bought somebody else's product.
Mhm.
So that one I'm going to use it for the most part as like door prizes at my big book parties. Like I'm going to give a bunch of those away, package deals, other things. But it's more about deciding when to turn something in. But for me, it has been more about staggering out the products that I have because I have so much art and so much ideas.